With whirlwind and Atlas Dog, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass, Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Dog, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.
What's up?
No, man. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Jar Openers Podcast, episode 91. Let's go.
Shout out to Scott, who just reposted on X. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, dude. Appreciate that. Which that's something everybody should be doing on X. If you're over on X, make sure you repost that.
Yeah, spam it.
Hit the like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Well, it's hump day. Hump day. I think, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I'm a big Royals fan, right? And they just called up Jack Caglione last night, and he was just drafted and played like 50 games in the minors, and just been cracking home runs. And so they called him up last night. He went 0 for 5, and then they're about to start here in like 30 minutes while we're doing the show. So
nice.
I'm crying inside that I can't watch his at bats. I want to see that first hit, especially since it's going to be a home run. But no, yeah, it's exciting for sports fans when the new guy hits town, right? So, anyways,
Exciting. I think the only thing I've seen in baseball was a shout out to Trevor Bauer. Looks like he did get the settlement in his favor, right? It was like for $300,000 from the false allegations that he had assaulted a woman.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy to think, because he did lose
him
$100 million contract because of this, and he only got awarded $300K.
Right. She probably don't even have $300K, so it's not like it matters. I don't know anything about her, but I do know that he lost a $100 million contract, and now he appears to be blackballed by the major leagues, which sucks. Dude's good pitcher still, but anyway, false accusations got him. Yeah,
they're probably putting some kind of form of annuity where she'll probably make, $200 payments for the rest of her life that'll probably never total to $300,000.
Right. What's funny is this Amber person's here, and I have a feeling we've seen this person before, and they typed the exact same thing. And I feel like it was before we started the channel, and we were doing the broadcast from our individual channels. But make sure you're subscribed there, Amber. Thanks for the comment. It helps out the show. Make sure you hit that thumbs up.
Tell your lefty friends to come say the same stuff. Love this chat room.
What's up, Donnie? Good to see you. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I got some heat brewing in the White House, I guess, or why if Elon's still there, black eye or not, but right. So we're gonna get into this whole, Elon basically came out, made a post, said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore," claiming that then he followed up and said, "This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You did wrong. You know it." And so that's as he is exiting his role at Doge. The 130 days or whatever it was is up. And so he's basically he's piecing out of Doge. And I believe there's about 130 billion actually that they claim to have saved. But only about 30% of which they've provided receipts. So that is, Doge wasn't as successful as the $1 trillion venture that we had hoped for, that was Elon's promise. He said that in an interview that he thought it might get up that high. But
Yeah.
we're going to get into this whole Chinese fungus situation, and we're going to dig into that and some of the things that have happened kind of in a similar light in the past, and that'll be our where we'll get into our What We Forgot Wednesdays. And so looking forward to digging into some of these stories, looking forward to digging into this one, and then showing you guys some of the stuff that I'm sure you guys have forgotten as it pertains to the similar situations and whatnot. Also, it is Happy Killdozer Day. To those of you that are celebrating, I don't know, something. Congratulations. I don't know what to really say to that.
Yeah, forget the guy's actual name, right? But it's just the classic example of American spirit. Got fed up with the government and did something about it.
Right. What was his name? I think we got it right here. What's the guy's name? Marvin Heemeyer.
Marvin Keymeyer.
Heemeyer with an H. H-E-E. Meyer. Heemeyer.
And we've actually had how many copycats since then? I guess I don't even know if you call them copycats. There's been other Killdozer events since then.
Has there? None is notable. None is notable.
Yeah, there was a recent one that happened like a year or two ago, actually. I can't remember what it was about, though.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember hearing about that one. I have to look that up. So we got the Conserva thoughts. It's kind of I don't know. It's weird. There's all these ex-porn ladies all of a sudden welcome not only into the conservative space, which is one thing, but into the religious conservative space, essentially, which, forgiveness, repentance, that's all one thing. It's all good and dandy, but I don't know. Questionable things going on. Then, this on top of the conservative, conservative dad's beer, what's it called? Calendars that they've done, stuff like that.
Calendar game.
Look, we love women. Don't get me wrong, but little weird to take the conservative Christian perspective and then do some of the, do some of that stuff. Piers Morgan loses it. Green Jean-Pierre leaves the Democratic Party, which is hilarious. Watching her struggle for Biden for so long and then just finally can't take it. We're going to dig into that. I haven't heard really any of the details, so I'm really excited about digging into that one. If we have time, we're going to talk about this. And I know it's a few days old, but this interview that Laura Ingraham did with Tommy Loren, there's been a lot of people on the conservative side, on the Republican side, whatever you want to call it, that has reacted to this little interview that they had. And so I figured we'd discuss it as well if time allows. Of course, World War III is always looming. We got a post from Nick Sorter that we're going to get into on that one. And then some stuff with prominent Catholic priests. Atlas added one here that prominent Catholic priest James Martin urges churches to celebrate Pride. I'm not sure if that's the same story, but there's an NFL dude that got into a fight with his preacher or whatever, his priest. I'm not sure what the scenario, if it was a Catholic scenario or not. Actually, I had that article pulled up, and for some reason, Daily Mail has been, if you open a page and let it sit for a while, it'll refresh that page back to their home page, so you can't keep it. and so I lost it. But yeah, there's a few kind of things going on with some of these preachers and priests lately, I guess.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing though in the NFL was the new Jets head coach. I'm not sure if he's the head coach or the interim coach right now. Instituted Bible lessons alongside their practice. One of the players took a screenshot of his Bible study worksheet and posted it on the internet, which I thought was awesome. Which is a far cry away from where most NFL locker rooms are.
Right.
And as Matt Walsh always points out, NFL is by far the most Christian, forward-facing sport, especially when you have figures like Harbaugh's. Both of them lead their teams in prayer, as well as like notable figures like Stroud, Harrison Butker.
Yeah, lots of
many others.
quarterbacks.
Yeah, many quarterbacks. Yeah.
Yep, notable quarterbacks. They like to do that, and then you see just guys you might not know their name, but they're team leaders. The guys on the team recognize that they're leaders, you know, even though they might not be the superstar we know them to be or whatever. And those dudes, they also do like even not team coordinated, but you know, like after a game, dudes from both sides usually would drop to the knee and say a little prayer together. So it's cool seeing that type of stuff, you know. And then of course we always try to point it out and make fun of it when, you know, entities like ESPN or CBS or whatever try to cut out the little part where they thank God and their Lord and Savior for everything beforehand, you know, and then they don't show that in the interview or whatever. It's just funny. It goes to show another representation that the you know, the battle of good and evil that's constantly revolving around us. Yeah,
the systematic anti-Christian operation and mechanisms that happen.
Yeah. And additionally, too, we got this Dave Portnoy meltdown video that apparently just came out. And then we got a little skit between Andrew Wilson and Steven Crowder, a couple dudes that I'm a fan of. I know Crowder's not for everybody, but you know, to each their own, right?
Right.
No straight man gets a perm like that. What are we talking about? Oh, Joel Osteen.
That's funny. Yeah, Mr. Prosperity Gospel himself.
Yeah, the mega churches, there's something. So anyways, let's get into this first story here with Elon and versus Trump versus Doge versus everybody. Pretty funny. So we'll start off here. We got oh, I guess I gotta share my screen.
Well, let's start with the chat here, right? Let's I'm sure maybe people in the chat have an idea of what's going on. Who's team Elon and who is team Trump? Put it in the chat. I'd like to know where people's heads are at as it pertains to the big beautiful bill. What side of the aisle are we falling on here?
Right. And I guess so you guys know the difference is Trump is touting it and Elon is saying that it's a massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill as a disgusting abomination. So,
yes, yeah. And then meanwhile, you have other, what do you call them, dissenters? You know, with Thomas Massie and Rand Paul as well. I believe Ron Johnson's actually got on a tour, so you have those kind of big notable guys here. And they're all basically saying no. They're voting no on the big beautiful bill as of right now, as it pertains. Each has like a slightly different reason too. But then Ron Johnson's in there as well. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene even came out and said more things were brought to her attention that she would have otherwise voted no had she known certain things were in the bill itself. And we'll get into that as we go through this.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and it's still kind of developing. I went through Elon's timeline just before the show, and he's still kind of just randomly posting stuff like he does, but then getting back to this subject. And so might just scroll through his we'll eventually scroll through his and just see kind of some of the updates that he's been giving in responses, because I saw that House Leotardo asked, what cuts does Elon want from where? And I think that's a great question, and it's a question that Elon has not answered really so much, but he has pointed out some solutions that he would rather prefer, and he has rebutted one of the main rebuttals to his discontent with the big beautiful bill. So
Yeah. Well, I guess with Elon, it's like twofold. It's like one, he thinks that the deficit expansion is over the line. But I think more importantly, it's just like the way that this bill is going to get instituted basically nullifies anything that Doge would have done. Um,
Right.
I think largely his kind of thing is the spending is out of control. He's put some figures out, none of which I think, have been verified. Same thing with like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul. They've like floated around figures that what they foresee as being projected from what the bill would put in terms of its tax cuts from 2017 and otherwise. But largely it just does seem that Elon, maybe it's more of a personal egotistical thing. I think it's what I would imagine maybe more so is like you went on this whole tirade, put yourself in the public ire. And people were pointing at the fact that, who's probably the next most likely to be assassinated from Trump. Elon was in that range there. And when you realize all of your work is going to be nullified, everything you spoke word of mouth to isn't going to happen because Congress just simply cannot figure it out without forcing another massive bill through. I mean, I would be personally a little irritated at that too, because it would mean basically all the work I just put in is going to amount to nothing. And I do
Yeah.
think that would make most people irritated. But yeah, House is right on that too. Rand Paul's outlined that specifically with the border wall funding, because I believe in the bill, he argues it can get done for $6.5 billion. And I think the bill is proposing that they set aside almost $50 billion for the border wall. Again, like I'm not a foreman or a construction person, so I'm not sure um, who's more right on that end. But yeah, you're spot on with that. Rand Paul thinks the border wall spending is absurd, and as well as the military spending. I believe it's the $1 trillion budget guarantee to the DoD. But there is one particular aspect that all things aside, if that thing's in the bill, I would vote no on it time and time again. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. And I want to say, hey, what's up, Lola Marble? Good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. I'm glad to see you come back. And said, good evening. Totally need to be here with you all. So glad you're here. We love it whenever you're here and chat with us. So, anyways, I got some numbers. Okay. So, a lot of this come from Steven Crowder, where I put together some of my my notes here or whatever.
Yeah, and Crowder is pro the bill. Just so everybody knows, Crowder is pro the bill passing.
Right. Yeah. And so, and this is the kind of the main rebuttal to Elon Musk in what he's saying. So actually, should maybe I should start with the Stephen Miller tweet.
Yeah, Stephen Miller,
because there's details to understanding this bill. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Stephen Miller was making comments to Elon. He made it to somebody else too. I think I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, if only. Oh, it was Rand Paul who he made a comment to. Stephen Miller said, if only Rand Paul cared about deporting immigrants as much as he cared about the spending deficit, we'd be in a better place. Which is a shot to when Rand Paul initially, with some of the military being involved with the deportation efforts, Rand Paul was adamantly against it.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's important to know what this actual bill is, right? There's different kinds of bills. And so a lot of people keep calling this the spending bill, but this is a reconciliation bill. That's what this actually is. And knowing this, the question is, why is Elon so mad? Like, what is it really that has Elon Musk so pissed off about this bill? Because ultimately, this bill cuts 1.6 trillion over 10 years versus what Doge is claiming to have cut $180 billion. I said 130 earlier. It's 180, of which Doge has provided 30% of the receipts. So even if it's 180 and we multiply that by 10, you're looking at oh no, you divide it by 10. My bad. It's like 15 billion per year that Doge is saving versus, 1.6 over 10 years is like 16 billion. Wait, is that right? Yeah, over a year. Yeah. 15 million versus. Okay, I'm. All right. I'm
You're confusing me down too.
the way that I do math in my head is funny. I just see the numbers and the answers, and then so whenever I go try to like explain it, then I confuse myself. But I was a mathletics champion, so I'm good at
Word.
math.
Yeah, I trust you.
Trust me. Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, and that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. 180 billion is what Doge is claiming to have saved versus, or 180 billion versus 1.6 trillion, right, over 10 years. And like I said, the main question is, why is Elon so mad? Because ultimately, the Doge savings are, I won't say a drop in the bucket, but they're minimal compared to the 1.6 that this bill cuts over the 10 years, right? 1.6 trillion. Okay, so now we got to understand what this is, and that's where I'll show you the Stephen Miller tweet here. He's explaining the difference between this bill and the typical bill that they normally pass. And so he says one of the bigger points of confusion is the BBB, the big beautiful bill, is spending versus tax cuts. The lefty CBO says extending the 2017 tax cuts, preventing their expiration, increases the deficit. Some critics have seen this figure and claimed or implied the bill increases spending. Then, according to CBO, the bill cuts spending over 1.6 trillion. So when a libertarian like Rand Paul attacks the deficit impact of the bill, they're attacking the tax cut. So, of course, honestly, extended current tax rates has zero deficit impact, which is why the bill, because of its spending cuts, reduces the deficit. Okay, so I'm going to read that last part again. So honestly accounted, extending current tax rates has zero deficit impact, which is why the bill, because of its spending cuts, reduces the deficit. Okay, so a major second point of confusion is what's exactly in a reconciliation bill. It is not an appropriations bill or a general budget bill. It provides no funding or authorization for 99% of the operations of government. It was written not by appropriators, but some of the most conservative members of the House. It has not a single Democrat provision or vote. The bill has three principal sections: tax cuts, welfare reform, and immigration and border security. That's, well, I guess immigration and border security are one, but sounds like four to me. It's a dream bill. Okay, so a reconciliation bill is what this is. It's not one of the annual appropriations bills, which is essentially an annual budget bill. This bill only requires, from what I understand, it requires 10 fewer votes than one of those typical bills, which means we do not need to include one Democrat. So you don't have to give one inkling of anything to a Democrat in exchange for their vote, which is why this is a dream bill, as he worded it in the end of this tweet here.
Right. It's largely just Republicans fighting each other over this bill because it's already all automatic, like no's from Democrats.
Right. And so we showed, well, I didn't show, but we have Elon's post on X, which is where he said, "I'm sorry, I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it." And then he actually followed that up with another tweet that let me see.
Yeah, so while you're finding that, Elon actually disagreed. Him and Thomas Massie kept quote tweeting each other back and forth. They disagreed, and also so did the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget did as well. They're all estimating that, in fact, that Stephen Miller is in fact incorrect. They estimate that the bill is actually going to result in a $2.5 to $3 trillion deficit increase,
Right.
which again is consistent with the projections from the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget. And with that too, I think I saw earlier, I think The Independent and who else reported this? SGVT. I'm not sure what that outlet. SGV Tribune. Some other figures go beyond that, saying that it would be $3.8 trillion over a period of time of an increase in the deficit.
Right. So somebody asked Grok if this was accurate. These numbers reduced the deficit by 1.4, and Grok responded and said the claim that the One Big Beautiful Bill Act reduces deficits by 1.4 trillion over 10 years is not supported by most analysis. CBO estimates it increases deficit by 2.3 to 3.8, just to what you were saying right there. So yeah, this is an Elon AI, which, you know, it's funny. I just read a story today. Side note, an AI company got busted. It wasn't AI at all. It was actually 700 Indian employees were posing as an AI. So, it was actual intelligence. That's what the AI stood for. It was actual intelligence.
Actually, Indians.
That's good stuff. But some of the stuff that's in this bill, and the reason why Elon doesn't like it, is it's the removal of what's it called? EV tax credits on electric vehicles. So whenever somebody goes and buys an electric vehicle, it comes with a tax credit, which means that the government actually pays, you know, like a $5,000 tax credit or whatever, for instance, and that is money that goes towards the dealership. You know, that the buyer doesn't have to pay, but it still goes and counts towards earnings for the dealership, right? And so there's somebody out there, I can't remember who it was, that's claiming that Elon Musk or Tesla is set to lose potentially up to 50% of its earnings because of the removal of this EV tax credit. In addition to, Elon has been trying to get his Starlink to be utilized like by the government, like in an official capacity type of scenario. I'm not sure the exact details, but basically he was nixed as a provider because they claimed conflict of interest. So he's, you know, Elon spent $200 million estimated roughly helping Trump get elected one way or another. And don't get me wrong, Trump said early on in one of his speeches that we love Elon, we love his electric cars, but we love gas more. So Trump has been upfront about this from the get-go. Before he was even elected, he was saying this from his rallies. So, I mean, it's not like Elon is being blindsided by this notion that Trump's going to, you know, help the oil companies more, be favorable to the oil companies, right? It's about exporting and creating power. You're basically limited by, you know, the amount of power that you can create, and with the AI being ramping up and everything over the next couple years with all these deals and all these investments, they need to spend. They basically need to. Oh my gosh! I completely lost my train of thought. That's crazy. I read chat for a split second, and a full self-fulfilling meme threw me off. Dance with hard
You have to
marks.
put like a
Appreciate that.
sticky note over one side of your computer.
Oh man, that's funny. So I was saying, talking about the tax credits. Oh yeah, and just that Elon is basically kind of in a position maybe that he's put himself in to feel betrayed by Donald Trump, by Trump just doing what he said he was going to do, which was, you know, export energy and bring back the oil drilling, drill baby drill. You know, I mean, that's Trump never went back from that saying.
Right.
Indians to take to make an AI.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually became increasingly like less concerned with the contents of the bill. Well, actually, we missed a major portion here. Let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
There's so much to cover here that.
because
Go ahead.
with this, Elon also came out with a proposal. I don't think it was his proposal, but he would support a proposal which was that all sitting members of Congress would be barred from reelection if what was it, the deficit exceeds 3% of the U.S. GDP. Um, which, for one, I had never even thought about a mechanism like that. If the government is not up to standard, the entire Congress has to get flipped. Like, that's also bad and good for a couple of reasons, right? Because it could be
Hmm.
that a lot of good people get automatically forced out because all of Congress was bad. But at the same time, I do kind of like the idea of a complete reset, a complete force. Every single member of Congress comes out and everyone gets a vote. Um,
Right.
maybe it'd be a bit more chaotic. But just
That'd
again,
actually be kind of cool because you'd have a lot of grassroots attempts in like the primaries and stuff like that, and you
right,
have people literally putting their policies on the line, and that'd be a pretty dope actually.
right. And and I think that that by itself shows the contempt from Elon Musk towards Congress. Less so Trump, but somebody put it in here earlier, which is something that I did find curious as well, which was, is Elon going to say something towards Trump, or is this only going to be towards Congress? Because Trump has made multiple statements about Rand Paul and Thomas Massie for being grandstanders or whatever else he says, and now Elon is being vocal against it as well too. So I'm curious if we will get a Trump Truth Social that's talking some mad shit about Elon. Maybe we'll get that, maybe we won't. I don't know, but it's curious to see if it doesn't happen. Does that mean like Trump was unwilling to go to war publicly with Elon? Who knows?
Yeah, well, King Solo Wings mentions here we should remember Elon is a Democrat. And I've
Right,
been mentioning it. I think a lot of these Democrats are just chomping at the bit to go back to their party at the first chance that they get. And
right,
right now it's just you've gone too far down a path that I can't go, but if you come back to me, we can ride happily into the sunset type scenario. So we gotta, be a little cautious with some of these people. We got Elon, we got Joe Rogan. Put him in the back pocket and take it for granted would be
right.
a mistake. So
It's part of the
yes,
issue with
good point.
the Republican Party as it sits right now. The majority of it is filled with liberals,
Mhm.
right? But are there by proxy of the fact that the left was overtaken by progressives. This is kind of exhibited with the people like James Lindsay and the Babylon Bee guys, Constantine Conan. There's a litany of people there who are like very adamantly against anything Christian whatsoever. Like they do not want anything, but they know that's who
Right.
they're bumping shoulders with right now. So yeah, you're spot on, which is why I think it's so dangerous. Like if you do get a Democrat who's prominent, even like a Gavin Newsom or someone, to position themselves in between there and go, man, I don't want any of this Christian radicalism, but I definitely don't want this train stuff to go on. A lot of people will jump ship and go to that because that'll be more aligned with where they are politically.
Mhm.
Because I think the natural pendulum right now is swinging further up to the right. And so people are seeing a lot of those who are on the further edges of the right wing getting a lot more push and prominence. And I think that terrifies a lot of those liberals who are here just for a short time, because they don't want to see any power being given to the institutional or the non-institutional right wing, which is like for the last 5 years has been non-existent, really only existent in the last two, at least on like mainstream platforms.
Yeah. Tex Bomber says, all I know is JD Vance better start doing shit because Rubio sure is priming himself up for that 2028 nod. Yeah, he sure is. And you know what? The more I learn about JD Vance having to do with Palantir and Peter Thiel and stuff, and he's reminding me of the same type of path Obama was brought into the leadership through, kind of groomed the whole way, maybe potentially. I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe Rubio might be the guy at the moment, but we still got a lot of time to determine that.
Yeah. I mean,
Reserving my right to judge, but I know JD's
yeah.
not your favorite guy. I watched your last video, and that was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, glad that we brought that up because part of me thinks too, and we'll actually get to the thing that my big issue with the bill, which is the fact that in this bill is I think it's actually 2 pages. I believe this page is like 239 and 240. There's a bill or a law that they're wanting to pass that would ban all 50 states from being able to regulate AI for 10 years. It actually wants to centralize all of the AI and have a 10-year period where nothing can be legislated on independently from the states. It would all be centralized. And this follows the news that we already got from Trump tapping Palantir for the DoD contract to the tune of almost $1 billion now at this point. And
Right.
then you look at that with Elon's recent walk away, right? Part of me also thinks maybe this is not even about the bill itself. This could also be the fact that maybe Peter Thiel and Palantir boxed Elon out, and now Elon is on his way out of the government while Peter Thiel and Palantir and others are cozying up to Trump to institute their overwhelming AI software system to obviously, make a database on Americans. It's very Orwellian,
Well,
which I thought was the sideline there too. And that's the reason why MTG came out and said, had I known this thing about AI was in the bill, I would not have voted yes for this bill. This has no business being in the bill. And I agree with her, because why is there an AI regulation bill in mixed between all of like the spending cuts, right? And
Yeah.
I'm glad Stephen Miller worded it right. He said 99% authorization, because he's right, because that 1% is about the AI that they shoved right in the middle of the bill that probably nobody's read so far, because it's like 200 pages in.
Yeah.
That alone is like, I'm a no, automatic no. I'm not playing this game with like building a database over American citizens so they can continue this overreach and give us social credit scores. And, especially when you have like the co-founders and people who built this program, all they do is brag about how they're so ready and primed to stop pre-crime. And on the same side, be like, and look, our AI helped quell political dissent in a foreign country. It's like, I don't want that here. We've recently moved away from Twitter 1.0, which was hell on earth when everyone is getting censored for even saying, hey, that guy's a girl though. And you would get banned off a platform. Like, we need way less censorship. And I will fight against that to my dying breath.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Just Me says, well, that's the entire problem with these huge bills. People don't even know a fraction of what's in them before they vote on them. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I watched Crowder this morning, and Gerald was acting like, Crowder's like main guy. I think he's like the president of the company or something like that. He was acting like he's read it. Now, I don't know if he has, but he was basically claiming that it's a winner bill. And I found that interesting, because I tend to trust Gerald. So I don't know. Worth mentioning at least. But yeah. Moral of the story is, we joke, or we say 1-page bills, 1-topic bills, but just be realistic. Even if a bill is 15, 20 pages, it doesn't take long to sit down and read that in one session. You know what I mean? And somebody could at least get a grasp on what it is that they're voting for. As far as the leaders in the House and the Senate and whatnot. Whereas the reality is they don't know what they're voting for probably most of the time. They just know that their little piece is in it and that's what they're fighting for. Or that their buddy's piece is in it and that's what they're fighting for. Or maybe they're fighting against something from a particular person. I don't know exactly. You know what I mean?
Ron Johnson was saying. I think he was with, it might have been Fox News or MSNBC, somebody he was talking with, where he was saying like they need to separate this bill into two. They need to cleave it in half. He's like, because as it sits right now, there's too much bloat in it. He's an automatic no. And he says like that's the same thing that they did with the House. He said they had to like refix it like 20 times. He's like, why? He's like, if they were to split it into two parts, because he's like, he knows that half of this bill everyone would vote for wouldn't be contentious, and the other half would be like, maybe we'd fight a bit more about this one, but that way you could at least get things done in a timely, efficient manner, instead of doing this where you force it all together at once in one massive bill, and then nothing happens for 2 months because we sit and argue about it. And this is, and how many times has Thomas Massie proposed that we go move to 1-page bills? And it never happens. It's never voted on. It's never moved through the committees to get voted on. Like, there's no, somebody worded it right the other time, with the tweet they had, but basically it's like the appetite, for change is so much stronger in the American people than it is in Congress. Like Congress has no appetite to get anything done.
Yeah.
Like they're just there for a good time, man. There'll be a celebrities if they get something done or not, right? They're
Right.
getting their money, they're getting lobbied too. It could care less for them. And I think that's part of the issue.
Right. And, it's a shame because a lot of people, on the heels of Trump winning this election and, taking the House and Congress and Senate, people thought the Republicans were going to be, hyped to get everything done. And it just appears like they're really, we're not even 200 days in, and it seems like they're dragging their heels trying to wait out Trump's term. And it's like, you guys are crazy. You guys you gotta run again as well. What's in it for you to drag your heels and possibly be primaried or straight up just lose to the Democrat? And I don't know, man. It's got to be a lot of, cash-filled handshakes or something. It's pretty crazy because like we're just not getting the production like we should. And then they're going to try to say that when this big giant beautiful bill comes out and is passed, it's going to make up for all the take up the slack. But I'm just not with it on that, man. Like just
well, that's why to me it's like the whole thing's null, because it's like you have the AI garbage in there. It's like, no. Like if I was in Congress right now, it'd be no, and Trump would be tweeting about me. But it'd be like, dude, like get this shit out of the bill. Like, what is this in here? Like, why the fuck are we trying to centralize all of AI systems for 10 straight years that states themselves couldn't have differing legislation on, that they would have to be subjugated by the federal? Now they're arguing for national security and all that, but here's the thing. Following that report a few hours ago, we got a report that Epstein is partly who funded Peter Thiel. And Epstein funded Peter Thiel to the tune of $40 million. And then we're finding out that Peter Thiel, who's the founder of the Palantir, which is in turn the AI system that we're trying to attach to who I would imagine would get the primary call for those 10 years.
Claims
Palantir
to have taken down the right.
Whatever they wanted. Right.
In
And it's
Europe.
like, I'm sorry, dude. Like there's too much here, too little being done, too inefficient. And it's a bunch of grown adults being catty with each other. It's like, this is the kind of stuff that makes me get to the point where it's like, I wish I would have voted for Kamala. Just burn this whole damn thing to the ground, dude, because it gets irritating after a while, right?
Right.
And that's why I do kind of appreciate the idea of a complete turnover. No one gets to keep their seat. No one's even allowed to run for re-election. It's like,
that'd be great.
Look, government wasn't performing. Get out. Go home. Go back to your original jobs you had 4 years ago.
Right. And House makes a good point. He says if they split it in two, they can't do it during reconciliation and would need Democrat votes. Yeah, that's the way I understand it. With it being a reconciliation bill, they need 10 fewer votes, and they don't got to cater to any Democrats and make any Democrats happy, essentially, because they can get it done with the 10 fewer votes. Whereas if it was like a annual budget bill, annual appropriations bill, they would require 10 more. I believe is how it goes. I could be wrong, but the way that I was interpreting it is that manner. So, it's definitely wiser to get something passed now when you can do it without Democrats. It's unfortunate that majority of the Republicans are shitheads too, but they still should be getting shit passed while they have the power. Right. And by the way, I want to say too, my wife was asking about you the other day, Jay, saying, haven't noticed you in a while. And was asking, hoping you're okay. Glad to see you're back home, and sad to see that you were sick for a week in the hospital, man. But glad to see that you're back home, and appreciate you for being here. Glad to see you. That's for sure.
Yes, sir. Always a fan of the Rottweiler photo.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm always impressed, or not impressed. I don't know what the word is, but I notice a lot of folks have dog profile pictures, which is cool to me.
It's the classic. I can tell you're immediately over the age of 40 when I see that. No shade either. I'm just like that. I've been able to pick that up. It's a good tell that if someone has a dog for a profile picture, they're somewhere between the ages of 40 and 80.
That's funny. Yeah, just me says, make sure everybody hits that smashes that like button, and don't forget to switch your chat from top messages to all messages. Yeah, definitely. Don't forget that. The default, no matter how many times I change the default when I upload the videos or set up the lives to all messages, it still defaults to top messages. So It's out of my control.
Yeah, and to House's point
Chris,
too.
that's on the opposite. I'm the crazy cat man.
That's
Sorry,
funny.
go ahead.
He's a rarity. Yeah, I mean, and to House's point too, like, trust me, like, I understand like the technical arguments, right? Like how it is now, right? Like how it should be operated with now. I guess more so at the end of the day, it's like exactly what you had said, right? There's 100 steps that lead us up to this point. It's like, why did, and it goes back to like no one cared in the first 99% of this bill being introduced, you know, sponsored, co-sponsored, written, you know, re-upped, reworked, brought back to the floor, go back to the committee. I mean, there was 100 steps somewhere someone could have said, hey, have we thought about like cutting this down and making this a smaller bill to vote on? It's such a, it's beginning to be such a, it's not even a joke anymore, because this has
Right.
been happening since like 2008 and probably even before then. Massive omnibus bill, dude. And it's just giant slugfest of ignorance, which, I mean, like at the end of the day, like maybe there does need to be a president who puts forward an executive order and it says one page bills only, like nothing else is going to even come to my desk.
Right. One issue bills. You know, one issue might be bigger than one page, so one issue will be
Right.
lenient. You know,
But
but
that's
yeah,
the point where we're at, right? We're like at a point where we're like, does the president need to consolidate an exceptional amount of power just to get around Congress, because it is such a behemoth, you know, scourge on our political system? I lean towards that direction day by day when I see this just pathetic infighting. And just, again, when it goes to like the AI stuff too, like we have a bunch of like 70-year-olds who have no idea what the hell it is, trying to legislate and adjudicate around it. And like that's a big issue by itself. Like these people don't even understand what the word Riz even means. And it's like, of course, they don't have an idea of like what Palantir is doing with its AI systems that builds things like PG, Gotham, and all these other ones that they have. That's why, like, I'm just like, I throw my hands up in the air, because it's just like the system is so fundamentally broken. And now we're at a period where we really would need, for in terms of technology, we need some younger individuals like in there, or at least those who are like tangentially like versed with AI technologies. Because if you have a bunch of people who have literally no idea the full reign of what these technologies can do, as well as the nuances and maybe the back doors and loopholes, I mean, good luck getting any kind of reasonable regulation or oversight, because they're not going to know what to be looking for in the first place. And I think that's a massive problem. And again, when you limit it to like only people like over the age of 30 and 35 can sit in Congress, when we're founded by a nation of people who are 24 years old, it just doesn't make sense at the end of the day. It's like I would move to like making sure that you can be a senator at 24 years old. I would like to see what kind of change that would bring, and get some of these old ass nursing home individuals out of office.
Yeah, for sure. I've been calling them dinosaurs, but yeah. You can see here, Elon Musk, he's still just on this. 4 hours ago, call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. And, you know, which brings me back to the question I asked in the beginning. You know, knowing that, which he's rebuttaling the cuts of 1.6 trillion over 10 years, why would Elon Musk be so pissed? And I just have to think that it has to do with the self-preservation of his businesses and things like that. You know, he was hoping maybe Trump would show more favor and change up his opinion a little bit on some of these EV and, you know, SpaceX and whatever else is being impacted possibly by this. But
Right.
you know, it's interesting just to see the passion he has on this, and I appreciate the passion for wanting to save America and Americans' money. Unfortunately, I got to have that little grain of salt that, you know what I mean. That is he really just worrying about himself? Because it seems like, you know, Elon Musk does tend to put himself in a position where he does business with governments, kind of capitalizing on government contracts of a sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a terrifying graph to look at, right? With the U.S. national debt.
Yeah, trillions of dollars linear. It's pretty much just going to be going straight up.
Chuck Grassley is 91 years old.
Dang.
You have a 91-year-old congressperson.
See, Elon reposted this. 77 million Americans voted for Doge cuts, not Washington's wasteful spending. Um, he's here more national debt year by year graphs, and then he said something else too. I think a bill can be big or it could be beautiful. I don't know if it could be both. Elon Musk. That's a great point right there. I like that. So you got like small stack, manageable, readable. Still probably too big. That's still a book.
It's at least like 30, 40, 50 pages.
Right. I mean, I got this notebook right here. It easily has 20 pages in it. Probably easily. Yeah, that's 50, 60, 70 pages probably in that small stack. Here it is 5 hours ago. A new spending bill should be drafted that doesn't massively grow the deficit and increase the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. One thing that'll be worth watching and looking out for tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock my time, is when Steven Crowder comes live. And I'm sure he will address these rebuttals from Elon Musk. Because, essentially Steven Crowder that I saw was at the forefront of claiming that the big, beautiful bill is going to save 1.6 trillion over 10 years. And then weighing that against the savings from Doge. So
yeah, it's like a massive difference there, right? You have one guy arguing that it'll be increase it by upwards of even 5 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
The other faction arguing it'll decrease it by 1.6 trillion. So that's like a difference in comparison of like, roughly almost like $7 trillion. It's like either someone's doing their math wrong or someone is straight up lying.
Right. Elon right here. America is in the fast lane to debt slavery. This post says it took over 200 years for the U.S. debt to reach 12 trillion. 12 trillion is how much we added in 4 years between 2020 and 2024. Yeah, that's scary because, population is not exploding at that rate. As a matter of fact, we're actually falling off on the replacement rate. So
look at Jay in here with the most neocon take I've ever seen in my life. We're just one world war away from fixing our debt again. Trust me, dude. You got Marco Rubio up there. He's trying.
You win. That's the
I guess maybe less so.
That's the comment of the show. Jay wins.
Mike Waltz. That's what I was trying to think of. He tried, dude. He's like, if we just bomb Iran, it'll fix everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see here. Well, then let me tell you about this oil I sell. It's made from snakes.
Right.
That's funny stuff.
Breaking news says World War hashtag is looming.
So you want to know what Megyn Kelly was saying here? It's 33 seconds. We'll play it. Elon reposted this, and it says Elon Musk is the greatest free speech warrior of the modern world. Okay, so I'll just play it.
This is one of the reasons why I think Elon Musk has been so important to expanding the national debate. I know he takes a beating by some on the left because he sends out strange tweets sometimes, and so who cares? This guy is the greatest free speech warrior that we have in the modern day world. Because of him, we can have these discussions on at least one of our social media platforms. And we couldn't. And I really think that his takeover of Twitter has helped change the polling on this, the American sentiment on this, people's awareness of the problems and the true facts. This is one.
Right. X did. And what he did with X, not really like Elon directly. I think Elon bought X when it was a part of a grander scheme.
Dude, he had to get pressured to let Alex come back to the platform. Like, he's not the greatest free speech warrior.
No, not at all. My wife's count still hasn't been restored on X. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people. Don't let them fool you by making them think they unbanned everybody. They certainly did not unban everybody. And as a matter of fact, my wife used to have a big account on X before the monetization and everything. And I wasn't even messing with it, and she was all over it. And then they banned her. She started over again, rebuilt it, and they banned her again. And so she's like, screw this platform. And so now she has one, but she doesn't ever post anything. She's very disconnected from it.
Yeah, but, I mean, props where it's given, right? He did, took it down quite a few notches from Twitter 1.0 and gave us X, which I do agree. I think it has largely been a massive improvement to free speech. And I think with two notable figures, one he had to be pressured to do, the other kind of just happened. with Alex Jones, right? And there was a couple others I think he had been outspoken about that he wouldn't allow to come back to the platform. So I think there are still a few people who have not been reinstated who are like public figures, if you will.
House.
Yeah, I
Wife.
know. I was waiting for that. Anytime you say it, it happens.
She's real, I swear. Jay says if war comes back, if the war comes, then we'll be really happy Trump brought back manufacturing to the U.S. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I was thinking about the other day, we don't even necessarily have to bring it back to the United States, which I would like to. But in the interim to bringing it back, because look, I understand you can't just build a manufacturing plant overnight and then staff it and have yourself, manufacturing all the goods now. But what you can do is you can take that manufacturing away from China in the interim of you bringing that and building those manufacturing plants within the United States to say, I don't know, Korea, you name it. Any other country that's not as hostile as China,
Right.
and you're not going without, right? And then you're not facing the high tariffs that were for something coming out of China or whatever, because you're not dealing with China. Although I'm not sure exactly where the tariffs war lays right at the moment, but
Right.
you get what I'm saying. You can still do business and get those goods imported. You just don't have to buy them from China, is my point. But ultimately should be bringing back manufacturing to the United States, 100%.
Yeah, what's largely like the necessities is what needs to be made here, right? Like energy and medication and food and
Yeah.
I mean, really, like those are kind of like the main ones. You could probably everything else you might be able to worry about with imports, but that's the big one, right? Is like when we were faced with COVID, and it's like 85% of over-the-counter medications are made in China. So if anything were to threaten that, it's like, well, then what do we do now, right? Like that's a lot of people in this country who are going to run out of medicine very quickly if we can't make it.
Right. I prefer no medicine exchanges hands between United States and China. You know what I mean? Just what we have here, we use here, we keep here. That type of stuff.
And I think the funniest thing about this all that we didn't put on screen is the Chuck Schumer bit, which we made the thumbnail. Because Chuck Schumer got a new name for the bill, which he presented to, I believe to the Senate. He calls it the "We're all going to die" bill, which is just like, you got nothing when you just gotta change the name, right? What do they do that with the no gay bill? What were they calling that? Say no to gay bill, when they tried to like reframe the name of it, even though it was like nothing about that was in the actual bill. What was that bill? It was in Florida.
It was the Just Say Gay bill.
Yeah.
I think it was Just Say Gay, because what's his name? The actor that played Hellboy came out and trying to trash talk DeSantis. He made this like selfie video of himself going, Don't say. Have you ever heard of the First Amendment? Don't say. Like, bro, it doesn't even. It's like, bro, it doesn't. Can't say gay. That's what it was. Can't say gay, and it was about not teaching a sexual proclivity of both types, straight or gay, to second graders and below, or something like that. And all these Democrats are out here freaking, showing their ass, and to me, it's just, Tony, that's freaking gay. Exactly.
I like Donnie's version better.
Don't say gay bill.
Yeah, but I just found it laughable. Look at this old man and his delusions, dude. Like, is anyone listening to this old guy over here?
Well, let's hear what he says.
And we all know one thing. Donald Trump is just lying about the bill. Lying about the bill.
We know that? How do we know that one thing?
Well, here's the We Are All Going to Die Act. And we all know one thing.
Like,
Donald Trump is just lying. Here's the "we are all going to die" act.
He's such a sensational asshole. This guy's so disingenuous, like so rich from being a senator or a congressman or whatever the hell he is. Like it says nearly 14 million Americans lose health care, 11 million people cut off from affordable food, funding tax cuts for billionaires off the backs of families. Like this is ridiculous. And you know, the first time around, Trump gave tax cuts to the big companies, right? And suddenly even the workers had money in their bank. Everybody agrees. And so this whole tax cuts to the billionaires, you know, cop out cry that the Democrats, I don't need a cop out, just a cry that the Democrats are shouting, it falls upon deaf ears because it's already worked. You know what I'm saying? It's already worked. Like we know how it works. Less regulations and a little bit more spending room gives companies the ability to feel comfortable in giving those raises up. Maybe lowering costs of particular goods or services.
Oh,
But,
dude, I would easily back a "Don't Be Gay" bill. Who said that?
don't be gay.
Oh, Donnie and Jay both said it. That's funny.
I proposed the don't be gay.
Vote for me to be my first act.
I was thinking about that the other day. How funny would it be if somebody just goes out there and puts together a campaign and just really says, like, just says all the shit that, you know, we're all thinking or whatever, and it's just like no PC, just no F's given. I think they might actually do better than people think, just because they appreciate the pure honesty and grit out of an individual that's willing to go through that.
I would wager if a politician came out and said something like that, we would see E. Jean Carroll suddenly remember that she was actually raped in 2009, and it would be that person. That's
by a guy
exactly
wearing a American flag bandana and an America First shirt. Even though my America First shirt was manufactured in 2024, it won't matter. The accusation still happened in 2009, like you said.
right. And she's gonna be like, and then he held me down while he yelled homophobic slurs. That's all I could remember. Was how much he hated gay people. I know it was him for sure. And the judge is gonna say, "Well, you have anything to say for yourself?" And they're gonna like, oops. Injunction. Defense is not allowed to testify. Anyways, you're charged, you're guilty. Yeah, and here's the civil settlement. It's like, it's such a joke, dude.
And while we're determining that, we're going to put you in jail, and the guards are going to fall asleep, and then you're going to accidentally hang yourself on toilet paper.
Yeah. And then we'll show the public the evidence 8 years later.
Exactly. The evidence, the videotape.
Yeah. And it will just so happen.
No, we have the video. I know we've been saying the whole time the video camera died, but no, we have the video. It's just the one camera died.
Yeah.
Oh, God, where are you guys coming up with this stuff?
Yep. And then before we do that, I'm actually going to hire, let's see, maybe I'll hire Steven Crowder and Steve Bannon. I'll put them in my administration, so when it does happen, they'll tell you it definitely did happen, so I can leverage the trust that those guys have built up so that you believe me more. This is the playbook. This is the playbook to quell dissent and crush people who don't go along with the system.
Right. So we haven't really delved into the whole Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, like what they've said. Is this the okay, yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping. So this is
box with cocaine.
Yeah. Rand Paul posted this himself on his own personal account. Or his is that his personal account? I don't know, whenever it has the grade check. Anyways, said I voted no on both impeachments. I voted for nearly all of Trump's cabinet, just one exception. I backed his tax cuts in his first term. We can disagree and still be allies, but this bill raises the debt ceiling more than ever before in history. If Congress can't even cut $8 billion off Doge cuts, we got a serious problem. And let's just hear what this is. 3 minutes, 41 seconds.
One of the senators who opposed this spending bill was called out by President Trump in a post on Truth Social. The president wrote, Rand Paul has very little understanding of the big, beautiful bill, especially the tremendous growth that is coming. He loves voting no on everything. He thinks it's good politics, but it's not. The big, beautiful bill is a big winner. So now let's hear from the senator himself. Joining me now is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, thanks for being with me here today. First, I'd love to just get your response to the president.
Well, I'm guessing that when I voted no on both impeachments, that the president wasn't happy with me loving to vote no. I'm guessing when I voted yes for most every member of his cabinet except for one, he probably wasn't unhappy with that either. What I would say is we have a disagreement, and we can still be friends, and I've told him this too. We can still be friends and have a disagreement. But to put things in perspective, the bill increases spending for the military and for border over $300 billion. The DOGE cuts, which aren't in this bill, were about $200 billion. So this bill actually increases in the first couple of years spending more than all the DOGE cuts combined. Now we're going to do $9 billion. That's, very small. It's a rounding error. I'm for it. I think Elon's done a great job. $9 billion is a pittance, but I'm for it. I absolutely am for cutting the $9 billion. But I fear, I fear we might not have the votes to cut the $9 billion. If we don't, I suggest people grab their pitchforks, figuratively, and march on Washington. If Republicans cannot cut $9 billion, we've got a problem with Republicans.
If you don't have the votes for $9 billion, we've got a real problem because we're talking about much bigger problems and bigger numbers. On that note, I want to get you to address the two things we just heard from OMB Director Russ Vought, and one made by the president. First of all, they argue the big, beautiful bill puts in place growth measures that you're not accounting for. I've been around this game for a while. You have as well. I do know that growth is something that every administration counts on to offset their spending. But do you not think the president has a point with deregulation and tax cuts that we could see real growth that actually helps not jack up the deficit as is accounted for?
I actually do. And this is where I think the president and I are talking past each other. I accept the growth arguments. I actually accept that cutting taxes can grow revenue. I believe it happened under Reagan. I believe it happened under the first Trump term. And I supported the tax cuts in the first term. I still support them. I support making them permanent. And I do believe they will bring in more revenue than the CBO projects. My objection to the bill isn't about the tax cuts, and it isn't about those calculations. My objection to the bill is they're going to raise the debt ceiling more than they ever have, $5 trillion, and that this will be the largest increase in the debt ceiling ever. And if the Republicans all vote for it, the Republicans will own the debt. They will lose their high moral ground. We will no longer be the party that can say, look at the Democrats. They're the ones, foisting the debt on our country. We're drowning in a sea of debt caused by Democrats, which has largely been true. But I think now they vote for this. So if they separate out the debt ceiling, I could be for the bill.
Okay. That's fascinating to hear. And I'm glad to hear your argument on both the growth side and the accounting side. You're worried about the debt ceiling and, of course, the lack of DOGE cuts, which we will see if we have the Republican will to institute those things. Senator Paul, thanks for being with us.
So, sounds good, but are the numbers real? What numbers are there? They can't even agree on if it's going to save us money over 10 years or put us more in debt over 10 years. Just what happens when you have too many hands in the bowl, I guess. Just me ask, why is Rand Paul squabbling over $9 billion and how many trillions do we just throw away to Ukraine? Well, I don't think we spent trillions yet on Ukraine. I think the highest estimations are $600 billion, but then they'll try to say most of that was spent in the United States because we manufactured that shit in the United States. So I don't really know what the numbers are, to be honest with you, but regardless, I know it's about too much. Too much.
Yeah, I don't think he was, you might have misunderstood him. I don't think he was squabbling. I think he was saying that his fear is that even as it pertains to this $9 billion cut, he doesn't think the Republicans are going to agree on that, which is me. I think he was making a statement that if the Republicans can't even agree to a $9 billion tax cut, they have really major problems.
Right, which I think he said he was actually for the $9 billion. He said he'd take that, which is a drop in the bucket of what we need to do scenario.
Right. And here's what I would say too. You know what? If you go back to the original tweet that was that housed this video, because if you see the Rand Paul, what he had actually said, and this is what I actually fear, and I think it's actually reached full. We went full circle here with the way that politics are. And what you'll notice here in the tweet is, what is Rand Paul doing here? He's giving a preamble. Because he has a disagreement with Trump, but he has to give a preamble of, listen, like, I like Trump. I've agreed with Trump previously, but here's my disagreement, because we've reached the point where there is an occult of personality in the right. A lot of people who are in MAGA will simply do whatever Trump says, does, thinks, or pushes for without an ounce of critical thought to what he said otherwise. And I think that's a dangerous spot to be. That's where I was really hoping we wouldn't come there, but MAGA can't beat the cult and mob allegations when they act like this. When a senator comes out who, again, Rand Paul and Thomas Massie are at the top of the list for people who have been in the game for a long time. And for most people, Rand Paul was who they supported before Trump even came onto the scene there.
Like anti-establishment type guys.
Yeah. And so I guess with that too, it sucks because it's like, I was really hoping MAGA wouldn't become that. But it seems like it is. This is the same kind of preamble you would see when somebody wants to say something positive they saw about Andrew Tate, right? They have to give the preamble of, here's what I don't like, here's what I don't like about Andrew Tate, but I think this one thing, right? It's like, you got to give that preamble because it's so loaded, because there's going to be such an emotional reaction to what you're saying simply because, they see that.
Right. Jamie asked, where was he? I think if you're asking where Rand Paul was, I think he was inside the Capitol building. That's why it was so echoey. And then in chat, I think King Solo Wings was talking about your earlier comment about your by your profile picture in Discord there, Jamie. your snow design statue. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, why are Republicans so insist on keeping the funding for trans ballet in Guatemala? I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I haven't identified as a Republican for a long time.
Right. So then Trump, he actually came out and said Rand Paul has very little understanding of the big, beautiful bill, especially the tremendous growth that is coming. He loves voting no on everything. He thinks it's good politics, but it's not. The BBB is a big winner. Rand votes no on everything, but he also posted Rand votes no on everything. He never has any practical or constructive ideas. His ideas are actually crazy losers. The people of Kentucky can't stand him. This is a big growth bill. So, it's interesting. What we got here? A couple posts from Anomaly.
Yeah, this was Anomaly's broad reaction to this.
Got two of them here.
Yeah, two of them.
So first he says, Trump cries about Rand Paul and Thomas Massie while endorsing Lindsey Graham. Total loser move, but never changes because he has a cult level fandom. Let me know when the majority of MAGA wakes up out of their hero worship slumber and actually questions him like other Republicans. Trump, and then he said, Trump has trashed Rand Paul and Thomas Massie publicly opposing his big, beautiful bill. Elon Musk just publicly opposed it this week and agrees with them. Does Trump have the balls to treat Elon the same way, or will he eat it from Elon because he took his donor money? That's a good question. But, I think this, that reminds me, the saying coming out of the Democrats after the election in the first days of Trump's, presidency was that Elon was really the president. Trump is just the puppet and Elon is the one, right? Well, this would certainly indicate that Elon is certainly not the president, nor has he ever been in control of anything. And, just is what it is.
Yeah, and to back up your point, if you actually skip down, you'll see Bannon versus Elon on Doge. Steve Bannon actually had like a minute clip of him going at Elon because of his opposition.
Oh, I'm glad you said this. Let's just play it.
There are no Doge cuts. Let me repeat this. And this is not USAID. Those are programmatic things. I'm talking about waste fraud. Where's the fraud in Medicaid? Which is where is it? They haven't showed up with any. Has anybody been turned over to DOJ for fraud? The problem with Musk, and I said this from the beginning, he gave false hope to this political class who doesn't want to cut anything. The reason, if the big beautiful bill's got all these problems and it has some issues, he drove it because he promised $1 trillion, ladies and gentlemen, $1 trillion that got him off the hook. It's time for everybody to grow up. Run around, oh, show me where it is. The rescission next week is $9 billion, and $2 billion, folks, is PBS and NPR. Give me a break. Didn't need Doge for that. Been fighting for that one forever. There's $7 billion in there supposedly of, I don't know, fraud. On a $7 trillion, he committed to the President of the United States $1 trillion.
You know what sucks about that is I still feel like there's much more government bloat and waste than what Doge even claims. It's like it was a complete failure.
Well, I think that what he had said, I think initially was he was unaware of how much is actually allocated under mandatory spending, which he had much less free reign to actually look at to give recommendations. This is like one of those wild instances where, if you look at it from a trust level, right? Like I have more trust in Rand Paul and Thomas Massie than I do either Elon or Trump. But I have more, at least from recent events, I trust Trump more than I trust Elon. But I guess even with that, they're kind of like similar. But I like Stephen Bannon a lot. I like a lot of what Bannon acolytes actually generally kind of push for. And I was fully with Steve Bannon when he was going at Elon Musk over the H-1Bs, right? Because he was arguing that GDP is not what makes a nation. The quality of life of people in the country is what makes the nation. And I agreed with him too on that. But here's where I actually where I'm with Jay on this, which is I think that there is an ego thing here to play where I think Elon does feel like he was just used as a celebrity kind of tool, useful idiot for lack of better words, in order to get people hyped and the momentum, and as a good kind of bridge to a lot of people who maybe might not have voted for Trump otherwise and had thrown some other things in there too. And now he's probably looking at this as like, I look like a complete fool because now Congress isn't going forward with anything that makes my work look meaningful.
Right.
And maybe it could just be on a smaller note of like, I would have rather worked on my SpaceX program, but you guys maybe waste this time here. What the hell is the point? Or maybe it does go deeper than that. And maybe it does go to the fact that, again, what's the slogan now? Promises made, promises kept. And the reason that sticks is because of how often politicians make promises that aren't kept. And that could be the case here with Elon, where maybe he had a lot of private discussions with people. He would promise certain things. And then here's at the end of it, being lied to. None of the promises were made. And, someone would make somebody bitter about that. And that's probably like maybe a non-nefarious conspiracy kind of idea of what's going on there. But maybe it could be a lot bigger than that, because maybe it is tied into Palantir and Thiel and him not getting boxed out of being, close to the government and close to authority levers. It's hard to tell, at least from right now.
Right. So, I saw a couple things in chat here. Just Me asked, why aren't the Doge cuts in the big beautiful bill? They absolutely should be, right? I'm not sure. Do you know?
Because they weren't they weren't actual cuts. They were, because Doge was a private entity, basically was brought in, I believe, under an executive order to be a private entity to help as a kind of a consultation firm. Everything that they did was recommendations. And this is partly why there were so many court cases about it, was because if they were doing these cuts, it would mean that a private entity, Elon Musk and Doge, would have control over people's private information as it pertains to the IRS, their medical records, Social Security, all of those things that they looked at. And so what they did was their work was providing receipts and recommendations of like, these are the things you should cut. These are the things that we found as we went and did data mining. Here's the different things and the different kind of, contradictory items we found. And so what it should have been was the recommendation should have been set aside into their own bill, and should have been like the Doge bill, right? And then you would have put forward that the bill would have been, is Congress going to act on recommendation 1A? Yes. Is Congress going to act on recommendation 1B? Yes. And like that's how the bill would like should have been formatted, but it wasn't. And that's why you see people saying it's not being codified into law, which is to say they're not doing anything with the recommendations. They basically have them and kind of throwing it to the wind. But at least what we do have from that is the awareness with things like USAID, right? We have the idea of like, okay, this is what these people were doing. These now we know. And so that by itself is a good kind of mitigating factor, because they'll be less likely to kind of just force some bloat after the fact. But that's basically where we're at right now.
Okay.
And yeah, House, yeah, they did reject the Doge cuts.
Right. And then Jamie said, how much was actually cut?
Nothing.
Right.
I believe the only actual cut that has actually occurred was I believe the dissolvement of USAID. And
Right.
even with that, I think it wasn't fully dissolved. It was like part of what they did was absorbed by either the Treasury Department, or it was like HHS, or maybe it was a combination of both. But I believe that was like the only kind of real like actual cut that we ended up seeing.
Okay. Well, I know they fired everybody besides like a couple, like 60 or something, and then they end up firing the rest of them. But I'm sure that's they took the bare bones most important tasks and then split them up amongst the other agencies, like you were mentioning.
The State Department, that's what it was. I couldn't remember what absorbed it.
Okay. Let's see
Which is
here.
actually why Mike Benz went on Tucker Carlson. This is about maybe a month or so ago. But he went to argue like why certain portions of USAID needs to stay alive. Because he's a big proponent of like soft power, which I disagree on some of the nuances there. But he went on Tucker Carlson to basically say this is why these things need to stay and why they're being absorbed. And they need to be proliferated in other departments because like, they're important. We are just doing them wrong and in a bloated format.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into these this Chinese fungus. Switch it up a little bit here. So the where do I want to start here? Not with that. Okay. Guess we'll just start with this right here. My fault. Oops.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I got too many tabs open.
No, you're good. And that's a good way of wording the House. Because I believe, I think from what I understand, if they don't vote on any of that stuff, the budgets that they were looking to get rid of just get restarted the next fiscal year or when they get re-upped. So it'll just happen again if it's not put into law.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So that's why it needed to be codified by Congress, which I think that might actually relate to an annual budget, annual appropriations bill versus a reconciliation bill. Yep. Not 100% on that, but I think that might be.
And it's crazy because the bill is so massive that none of the people we normally go to could literally explain it to you in a way that would make sense. And that part of the problem too is
yeah,
if you can't even break it down and explain some of the stuff to a 6-year-old, you don't have an idea of what's going on, and you don't have a full comprehension of what's in the bill. And I think that is just by itself, all politics aside, is immature and just an irrational thing, to do when it's going to be hoisted upon millions of people, just retarded.
Yeah, for sure. So, got this story about the Chinese fungus. The old Chinese fungus trick, huh? Mario Nafal posted, Chinese couple caught sneaking crop killing fungus into Michigan lab. So this Chinese couple was caught sneaking a crop killing fungus into a Michigan lab. I had to repeat that because I paused improperly the first time. So anyway, so 2 Chinese nationals tried smuggling a deadly fungus into the U.S. that can destroy crops and poison foods. Well, we don't care if it destroys poison food. Oh, I get it. It poisoned the food. I'm joking. Okay, sorry. Play on words.
It's funny.
Prosecutors say Young Lu, Zun Yong Lu, whatever. I don't care about the name. Prosecutors say somebody flew. I don't even know if it's a guy or a girl. Flew to Detroit. Okay, so it's a guy because he flew into Detroit for his girlfriend. So it was a couple who worked at the University of Michigan lab. Let's see here. Flew into Detroit for his girlfriend who works at the lab, not cleared for biohazards. Okay. So the fungus, Fusarium, I'm not going to get these names right. Goodness gracious.
Fusarium graminearum.
That's it.
Graminearum.
Okay. So this fungus, particular one, it devastates wheat, corn, and rice, and it causes vomiting and liver damage, and is labeled a potential agro-terrorism weapon. It triggers billions in crop losses yearly, and officials say Jan's research was funded by China, and that she's a Communist Party member. So we got CCP members doing research at the University of Michigan. It's crazy, right? I mean, talk about national security. But
right.
Lou was deported, and then John, whatever, Gian, I don't know, whatever. I don't care. It's annoying. I just wanted to say it right. Faces charges of conspiracy, smuggling, visa fraud, and lying to officials. U.S. Attorney Jerome Gorgon Jr. called it a major national security threat, and this the source is the BBC. And you see these 4 little baggies with a fungus in it, right? And I mean, this is basically the way that I see it. Is somebody tried to sneak in some stuff that's going to destroy our crops and try to starve people. Like, it's worded up here that it's a what was it called? An agro-terrorism weapon. I've never heard of agro-terrorism. But if they could unleash this fungus that destroys crops, and then causes heart and liver, causes vomiting and liver damage when you do eat it, if the crop survives. That's a serious issue. But this isn't a one-off, and this is where the what we forgot Wednesdays comes in. Let's see here. So you guys might remember this story about the sorry, I'm getting an echo. I must have hit the volume on my phone or something. Okay, that's it. So you guys might remember this story from late 2022 when do I have a let me actually look for a link. I think I have a I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys. Yeah, here it is. Oops. So in 2022 there was an illicit Chinese-owned lab fueled conspiracy. Well, an illicit Chinese-owned lab fueled conspiracy theories, but officials say it no longer posed damage or whatever. Right? No longer poses damage. This is the only article that I could find when I was searching today, pretty much for this story. But you might remember this one because this place was discovered simply because this hose was coming out of the wall. And so the story was that Jesselyn Harper, the full-time code enforcement officer for the small agriculture city of Reedley in California's Central Valley, was responding to a complaint about vehicles parked at the loading dock of a cold storage warehouse where she noticed a foul smell and saw a garden hose snaking into the old building. A woman in a lab coat answered her knocks, and beyond her were 2 others in plastic gloves and blue surgical masks, packing pregnancy tests for shipping. Harvard said they spoke broken English and they told her they were from China. Walking through the lab, she found dozens of refrigerators and ultra-low temperature freezers hooked to illegal wiring, vials of blood and jars of urine in shelves and plastic containers, and about 1,000 white lab mice being kept in crowded, soiled containers. I believe they were actually even making the rumor, at least at first, or that came out later, was that they were making COVID test strips or something like that too. So we got this one. Chinese basically underground bio lab operating in California, Reedley, California. What other details do we have? It had been running illegally since October of 2022. Raises a significant public health and national security concerns. The FDA recalled 56,000 COVID-19 tests in December of 2022 and later 329,000 pregnancy tests and other diagnostic tests in 2023 due to the risk of contamination or inaccurate results. So this lab received 150,000 in U.S. taxpayer-funded PPP loans, sparking further scrutiny. A key figure was indicted in 2023 for distributing misbranded tests and making false statements, with additional conspiracy and fraud charges added in 2024. While initial fears of bioterrorism or bioweapons fueled conspiracy theories, investigations by the CDC and FBI found no evidence of internal weaponization or active virus production. But that doesn't mean that, it wasn't, just because they didn't find it there doesn't mean it wasn't happening somewhere else, right? Like what we see with this fungus story that is the new one that we're talking about. But then that's not it. That's not the end of it. There was another lab, and what year was this? 2023. So a year later, a Chinese lab they just discovered operating illegally in Fresno, California, was found with 1,000 bioengineered and infected mice with diseases including HIV, E. coli, malaria, and COVID-19. As accompanied by a screenshot of a story here, which we can link to the article. From National Review, illegal California lab run by Chinese biotech firm contained mice engineered to spread COVID. Once again, Chinese operated within the United States. Chris says same lab, but no, this one's in Fresno. The other one was in Reedley, California. So I don't believe it's the same lab. And I think they shut the first one down in 2022, and then this story is out of 2023, July 31st. Oh wait, no, this is not that one. Wait, no, August 2nd, 23. Okay, so maybe
I think it is the same one. Read the second paragraph of that story there on the National Review.
Yeah, I think it is the same one. Okay. So my fault. The undercover lab was discovered in a warehouse in Reedley, California. A garden hose. Okay, so I mixed these two up because they said Fresno and Reedley, but I guess maybe Fresno is like a suburb or Reedley's a suburb or something like that.
More than likely. Okay,
so then, but it's still that doesn't end there. There's this dude right here. You guys might remember this story. Chris Lieber, he's a former chair of chemistry and biology at Harvard, and he got caught working directly with Wuhan and the CCP. This is a thread, and actually I have oh no, the other one. I had another article to go with it, but it was on a site that you could only read it once. It gave you like one free read, and then it tried to charge me when I went back to it, wanted me to pay for it. So I'm like, well, not using that article. I figured I'd just work with this one. But this dude, he was a Harvard University professor, and 2 Chinese nationals were charged in 3 separate China-related cases. This is from January in 2020. Let's see here. We'll just read through. We'll just kind of skim through this thread here. It says number 3. It's interesting how one of these separate cases was a Chinese nationalist that got caught trying to smuggle 21 vials of biological research to China. Yi and Harvard's Charles Lieber just both happened to be using the same airport in the same city. So he posted this right here that the chemical biology department and 2 Chinese nationals have been charged in connection with aiding the People's Republic of China. Dr. Charles Lieber, 60, chair of the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology at Harvard University, was arrested this morning and charged by criminal complaint with 1 count of making a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement. Lieber will also this afternoon before magistrate, Yang Qing Ye, 29, Ye, we're gonna call him Ye, 29, a Chinese national, was charged in an indictment today with 1 account, each visa fraud, making false statements. This other person, Chinese national, arrested December 10th, 2019 at Boston Logan International Airport and was charged by criminal complaint attempting to smuggle 21 vials of biological research to China. Once again, China. Then we have this other one here. There's 2 articles that are related to the one story. Pull them both up. This one, I like the title better. Yahoo News. This is March 30th, 2020. Suspected SARS virus and flu samples found in luggage. FBI report describes China's biosecurity risk. In November 2018, just a year before the first coronavirus case was identified in Wuhan, China, U.S. Customs and Border Protections agents in Detroit stopped a Chinese biologist with 3 vials labeled antibodies in his luggage. Once again, same thing. Chinese science research, November 18th, 2018. So an unclassified FBI report obtained by Yahoo News said inspection of the writing on the vials and the stated recipient led inspection personnel to believe the materials contained within the vials may be viable Middle East respiratory syndrome (MERS) and severe acute respiratory syndrome (SARS) materials. So, I mean, China's doing the bio thing. They're buying up our land. And then, I mentioned this on the last one, but I think this is just such a valid question. Jack Posobiec asked the question on X a few days ago. What happens when drones raise up from all the farmland the Chinese bought next to our U.S. military bases? He said that in retrospect, in lieu of the drone attacks from Ukraine onto Russia. And it's like, man, it's a good question.
You had like a day later, the what's her name, Katie Hobbs in Arizona.
Yeah,
she vetoed a bill that came to her desk that was going to ban the purchasing of land to Chinese nationals. She vetoed it, which again, it's like scary because Arizona's on the border too. But yeah, Katie Hobbs is clearly, she's ready for it. She wants the drones to come out of the farm, come out of the farmlands all across America.
Yeah. Yeah, undermining America from within, 100%. Couples light. China is still at war with us. Yeah, I mean, China declared that they want to basically be the world dominant, nation, the world police by 2030. And they're pushing forward. They're not letting up at all, really. So, Trump battling and hurting China's economy is bigger. It's a bigger thing than just a trade war, honestly, in my opinion. But anything you can do to hurt them and delay them on their world domination aspirations, I think, is a good thing. That's for sure. Namely, stealing Russia from BRICS and making Russia a U.S. ally.
I feel like it'd have to be the other way around. I think we'd have to join BRICS to be allied with them.
Yeah, that actually, you might be right about that, which would be crazy to ally with China. It'd be better to steal them. And then finally, just to wrap up, what we forgot Wednesdays. It's Happy Killdozer Day. Got a little video here to go with it. It's got audio that'll probably get us
Copywritten.
But
that's not all. I think everybody's favorite Chinese national is Fang Fang with Eric Swalwell. We have a video that can only be described as cringe, with him on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne bragging about said relationship. It's a wild clip.
Yeah, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. My eyes skipped right over that. I have it right there, and I was clicking on the pictures, and the link snuck right past me.
No word, yeah, dude, it's so cringe. Like I watched it, I had to watch it twice because like I thought it was fake.
Did the Chinese spy scandal hurt your credibility, or did Republicans just weaponize like a nothing?
He's like, not in my opinion.
Right.
I got to cut in on this one a little bit. Breakfast Club does do copywriting stuff too.
Nothing burger, so to speak. You know, the fact that the FBI and the House Ethics Committee said it was bullshit. Mm-hmm. Like I would hope that would be enough, but like in a disinformation society, like I recognize that it's everyone on the right's favorite meme. My wife tells me all the time, you know what? The second they're not going after you, you're not effective. Mm-hmm. And so I wear it as a badge of honor that these guys would want to lie about me all the time because.
Bro, badge of honor that we're lying about you. What are you talking about? You was banging a Chinese spy. Everybody knows. Yeah, just what is it? Deny till you die. Especially since he's married. He said his wife, right?
Because I think it means that I'm landing punches politically on them that sting. And frankly, I think a lot of Republicans look at me as like, oh, that's a straight white Christian male son of a cop. Like everyone else like him looks like me. So when he comes at me, it's more betrayal to them. Like I've heard that.
That's the part, dude. Like, no, I about said a bad word. No, nobody looks at you as the shining example of what it is to be a white, straight Christian male, dude. When people think of Eric Swalwell, they think of that gay guy who got lucky once with a Chinese spy. No one on planet Earth thinks you are even straight, dude. Democrats don't even think you're straight. It is just the most sad and cringe thing I think I've heard in a very long time. And yeah, I don't know if he's married to Fang Fang or if he's married to some random woman and like he banged Fang Fang outside of it. But either way, dude, nobody knows you for that. Only everybody knows you for is because you are involved with a Chinese spy. That's
right.
All anybody knows you for.
Couples Light says the spy was using him for secrets. He was a mark. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And yeah,
that's what he has to do the shower scrubs team. What? Say that again?
That's a massive hat. Tick said, you lied to yourself in the mirror. When you put that hat on, you look like you got a tiny head, which he does. Like, it looks like that hat is absolutely massive. Like, he's got it buttoned all the way out, too, right?
Right.
I mean, I say that as somebody with the big head. Like, that hat looks massive.
I thought you were mad because it was a Chargers hat or something like that.
Oh, it better not be, dude. That's even worse.
Kind of got the color.
It might be, though.
Side that's why they take it so personally. So I'm not going away, and they can say what they want, and the death threats will come. But if they think I'm going to
right, just because the Democrat Party doesn't shame degenerates like you from their party, they embrace them. You know what I mean? Yep. He's not going away because the Democrats got no party with degeneracy.
Right.
A small violin.
drop my lawsuit from January 6th against the president, or if I regret being an impeachment manager, or if I'm not going to like go out and work
impeachment
my ass off
manager,
like The Rock. Like I'm not going away. I came from nothing. I was raised by a cop who did the right thing. Like to me, I'm playing with the house's money.
Yeah, and you're still nothing. Yeah, they're bringing Wiener back. They are. Anthony Weiner's popping up a little bit here and there.
The guy is a joke.
So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, what else we got here? What else we got? We got 15 minutes. Conservative thoughts, Piers Morgan. What do you want to go next? KJP.
I mean, the Piers Morgan ones are just funny. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards.
We can do the Lori Ingram, Tommy Loren one.
Yeah, we could do either three of those. Up to you. I'm leaning towards even. We'll just do the conservative thought one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I like how this popped up today. And we were doing our phone call earlier, and we were talking about the former OnlyFans chick that turned Christian. What's her name?
Nala Ray.
Nala. Yeah. That now she's selling. She's like working for Turning Point USA and selling her like daily devotionals. It's just weird going from a chick that used to sell butt pics to on subscription to now
Right.
study the Bible with me. I mean, look, path to redemption and everything, I understand, but like we've said many times before, maybe you should just you're new here. Just have a seat and we'll, stay quiet and we'll teach you. You know what I mean? Like, you're not in a position to be teaching anybody. Like, get your stuff figured out, solidify yourself in your new Christianity, and then maybe start telling people your testimony and leave it at that, right? But meanwhile, I'm sure everything she's done it's the internet, it's forever. So it's like you can still see all the stuff. It's not really the type of person that you want in the spotlight at your church, because the genuine, just human curiosity of there's naked pictures of this person floating around out there, I wonder what she looks like, is going to hit a lot of people's minds at some point. And that's just not what you want to have from a Christian speaking place. You know what I mean? And then this post we have right here, Brandy Love, a former porn chick, another one.
A mattress actress is the term I saw somebody using. Mattress actress.
Was a VIP at the Turning Point USA's Student Action Summits until parents complained. They seem to enjoy promoting porn actresses to impressionable teenagers. And it's just a weird avenue to go for
Well, read Jay's comments, because that's exactly what I believe to be the case too.
I see here. Jay says she's still in it for the money. New game. Yeah, just swapping out subscriptions essentially. Yeah, that's a new hustle for her. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the porn star to conservative influencer pipeline is very real.
Right. And it's just look, I mean, if you want to turn your life around, I'm all for it. I wish Charlie Kirk and whoever's putting up these TPUSA events and things like that would reconsider giving these people who aren't so far separated from their porn careers, from their their actress careers, the microphone or any type of like additional clout, like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I think it's very, very, very overt how they feel about this issue in particular. And I think TPUSA is the largest and most egregious aggressor in this case. When you look at, I think it was, it's the TPUSA lineup. Nala Ray is actually featured on there. And it got me thinking too, you also have like the Brandy Love thing, the instance here. You also have, what was it? What was the RNC? What was her name? The bald chick.
Oh yeah. Not Doja Cat.
Amber Rose. Is that who I'm thinking of?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Amber Rose. You had that there as well. And you think about it and you go, where's Rachel Wilson? Out of all of the people I would expect to see at a women's conference for conservatives, the most vocal voice I can imagine I would expect to be hearing would be Rachel Wilson. who was not on the list of, I believe, 20 influencers was Rachel Wilson. And that leads me to believe that there is a clear kind of gatekeeping, especially because Rachel Wilson accepts nearly every invite she gets to go out on events. It's all she really does with her time anymore because she doesn't work a regular job. Wilson basically takes care of the rest of it. But the Nala Ray one in particular, the reason why people push against that one so much is, one, people do think that this was a disingenuous or not organic coming to Christ. A lot of people view it in the way that she speaks, her actions as well. You have the what was it? It was the money, right? She refused to. She took all the money that she had made, even though she had admitted that like she had basically destroyed some guys' lives with how much they were giving her. She had like that weird kind of where she was like, "I'm going to keep all the money. I don't care what it did." And then you also have what's been going viral on X alongside this too, is a video after her baptism where she actually went to a OnlyFans creator event and called herself like the Queen of Fuego, whatever that's called, which is just porn face for those who aren't familiar. And we talked about like
Is that
exploiting.
like cross-eyes face that I've
Yeah.
seen her doing in a bunch of posts? Like she just
Right.
posts pictures of her face, like
Yeah, like cross-eyed and like with
With
her
her
tongue
mouth
out. That's what
open.
it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Fuego or something like that. She called herself the queen of it after her baptism. And I think there's a lot of other things in there too. I mean, if you want to get very specific, you also have like the firestorm that erupted when she was unable to even explain the most basic Trinitarian concept on the whatever podcast. That's when, you know, her boyfriend got brought on and there was the whole campaign against Andrew Wilson. He hates women. Wow, Andrew Wilson doesn't believe in the redeeming power of Jesus Christ. And then, you know, people sat on it for a little bit. Then all of these Orthodox fathers came out and they were like, "Oh, dude, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why is this woman speaking at conservative events?" And that was like when everyone went silent because all of the actual like church leaders came out and they were like, "What are they doing? She did what?" And you're having her speak to people like, "What the hell?" You know, it's
Right.
funny to see like church pastors that go like, "Holy, wait, what? What's going on here?" And you know, and again, it's part of the infighting that's going on as it pertains to just the right wing in general. This is just maybe like a sliver of it. I hesitate to say sliver because the majority of the issues fall in this realm. But at the crux of what you see in the right wing and why this is being fought and argued and debated so much is because there is at the foundation of it, you have a lot of conservatives who aren't Christian. Maybe they say they are, but they definitely don't behave that way nor act like it. And then you have the Christian nationalist community, which is the very hardcore Christian conservatives who want Christianity to be the forefront of the messaging. And that, I think, is the through line you can see through the majority of all of these kind of infights that the right wing has, which is you have one group that says this doesn't represent Christian values, and you have the other group say, "I wasn't a Christian anyways, I don't care."
Right.
And so like that's where a lot of the infighting is happening on the conservative ends. And so some conservatives look at this and they go like, "Okay." And then other conservatives look at this and they go, "Holy F." And then you can even take that to the Glenn Greenwald incident where you have all these people coming out and saying like, "If this video changed your opinion of Glenn Greenwald, I think that you're just hateful. And that's not what a good Christian would do." And then everyone else is like, hold on, dude. What I saw in that video, for one, was incredibly abrasive, and two, disturbing, and three, he has kids. Like
Right.
even in a straight heterosexual relationship, if they were doing this kind of stuff and smoking meth and doing these things, even in a straight relationship, you would go, "Hey man, something's going on here, dude. That's not a good environment for kids to be around."
Right.
Let alone adding the homosexuality aspect on top of it adds that extra layer of complexity.
Well, I mean, when Nick Rekieta had his little episode and, you know,
Right.
broke down and was into the drugs and live streamed himself doing something, you know, untoward and whatever. I mean, he got arrested. They came and raided his house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Was he like live on air too when he got arrested?
He might have been, yeah. He got his life straightened out. Apparently, he's back streaming now, so that's good for him. But you know, you don't see Glenn Greenwald getting raided for that stuff. I mean, like you said, there's a crack pipe in the video or whatever. You know, I mean. But I wanted to read this. I had it on the screen for a while. But so many men in the church struggle with pornography. This is not a good look promoting her. Well said. 100% agree. Took the words out of my mouth. I couldn't say it. I was trying to say it, but that is exactly what I was trying to say. So thanks, Couples Like, because that is that's true. You know, and so putting people like this up on the forefront, it's an advertisement for them. essentially for these porno chicks. I saw that Tix Bomber said that she created Jenna Jameson. You're talking about this Brandy Love person, Tix, I assume, because I think Nala's too young for that to be able to create somebody. But
Yeah, but as far as I understand, this Brandy Love person's been around in the porn industry for a long time. She might be one of the top names in the whole thing.
somebody said 40 years. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, either way, though, it's like this goes back to the whole thing, right? Where I bring it up all the time too, which is
Oh,
like,
see you later, Jamie. Appreciate you for being here.
oh yeah,
Sounds
peace
great.
out, Jamie. Where, like, do you have like this? Like with this is like, and here's why I had to get gangbanged to learn that this isn't what God intended for me, right? It's like, bro, like I don't have to murder someone to know like murdering's wrong. You know, it's like it's the weakest excuse. It's like, who else is going to talk to these women? And again, it's like Rachel Wilson, all the girls you don't want talking to them because they're going to be mean and rude. Like,
Well, here's a question for you. Do you think Nala films her devotional Bible studies with the same camera she
Dude,
filmed, the rest of the stuff?
okay. Do you know that she started trying to make cooking content?
No.
Do you know what her videos looked like? Every 2 seconds would cut to an edit of her like, oh, I like the taste of the batter, guys. And then would make another edit and she's like licking the spoon.
Oh.
Wow, it's really coming along really good. It's like, dude.
And they
she
do
was
that
doing all
type of
this
stuff
work
so they
fixing
could they do that type of stuff like on Twitch and Kick and try to filter people over to their OnlyFans.
Right. Well, it's just like a little pipeline there, right? It's a way to move out of the industry, but also maintain the money that comes in. Just switch to a different audience, basically.
Right. I really think.
I think, as far as I understand it, like hers was up for months after she said that she was done with it, and she was still raking in money. And the thing is, too, is like, I largely don't buy it at all.
She's still a virgin in her mind, and work-related sex doesn't count to those types of chicks.
Well, it's like the old saying, right? You know, you can take the hoe out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of the hoe. The same thing here. Like I
can't make a hoe a housewife.
Yeah, and again, like to use her out of like, think of how many other girls like literally in America alone who have never been a porn star, who have probably been like involved in different youth programs, as much as I may disagree with them, but would be better speakers to have, who have worked their whole lives in this department. They know the faith. They could explain the Trinitarian concept to you as well as many others, and they're overlooked because the conservative party wants clout. Like the conservative does not mean Christian, and it hasn't, and I don't know if it ever will again. But like that's the real like ongoing battle, and that's why it matters when you bring up that there is just the conservative party has been overtaken by liberals.
Yeah,
and liberals want to gatekeep it, and eventually, like the political system is going to look like progressives versus liberals. Conservatives are being pushed completely out because if we can't conserve Christianity, nothing else even matters. What's the point?
True. Yeah, very, very much. Well, I want to remind everybody to double check that you're subscribed, hit that like button, all that good stuff, please. And I don't know. What do you think? Should we just, you got to run? It's 9. I think we probably should just go ahead and wrap it up there.
I have to run, but if you want to keep going, definitely go. Don't let me hold you back.
I'd like to, but to be honest, I told you I want to go watch the Royals game, dude. I want to see Jack Caglione bat. So it's 9:00 anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and just wrap it up. And some of these topics we can actually save for the next show. Although it is our 2 days gap between today and our next show, which we usually just have the 1 day gap. But
I'll keep them on my files just in case.
Okay, I do think we should still talk about the Laura Ingraham, Tommy Loren thing, because for some reason everybody reacted to it, and I need Atlas to explain it to me. And so I think that'll be a fun conversation, and I'd love to involve you guys with it as well. Couples Light says, "Great show, guys. Thank you very much, Couples Light. It's nice to meet you and good to have you here."
Yeah,
I don't believe I don't recognize you from before, so forgive me if I met you before and forgot. But definitely come back. We do the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then we go for about 2 hours, sometimes longer, especially if we're having a good time. But yeah, just remind everybody to click all the links down in the description. If you're in a Discord, we do have a Discord community. You'll find a lot of the same folks in chat in our Discord. Got a good group of people, a lot of veterans, and just building the community over there. And it's a fun place. And then we have a place for folks to submit show ideas, even do call-ins. We've been trying to implement if folks wanted to join the show and be a part of it, and all that stuff. And we're just ground level here. We we've been doing the show for maybe 7 or 8 months, but only 2.5 months on its own channel. And forgive me for those that have heard this before, but we're trying to build it up. We got to get to that 500 sub mark to get it monetized. So if you're watching over on X, please do consider coming over to YouTube for a minute and searching the Jar Openers Podcast channel and hitting that subscribe button. I do appreciate you taking a few minutes to do that. While you're there, you can find the links in the description on this video and all of our live videos. I think all of the videos on the channel actually have the links to our own each individual channels. Mine is America First TV. Yours is Atlas Thugged. You've been putting out some really great content lately.
I heard
myself,
what you're trying to say. Some really gay content.
My mouth is dry. I've been fumbling, cotton mouth. It's been hard to speak. I was just gonna say, so click those links, subscribe over there. You won't find much new videos coming out on my channel right now. Currently, I'm like 29,000 subs or whatever. But I'm focusing on everything on this channel, and I'll get back to posting daily here soon on America First TV. But if you're interested in following us, supporting us individually, you can do that. You can do all that good stuff. Before we go, I'll just I'll read here from the YouVersion Bible app. The verse of the day is Psalms 23, 5-6. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So that was Psalms 23, verse 8-6. And sorry, I haven't been reading chat there, but let's see. But yeah, just with that, you guys, I just want to say Christ is King, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. If you got anything you'd like to add before we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish off with the Nicene Creed here. You can put it on screen if you want. I put it backstage. But I'll go ahead and start. You'll get it on screen, I'm sure.
All right.
But we're gonna finish off with the Nicene Creed here. And I'll go ahead and start. If those who want to come along with me. I don't have it memorized yet. I'm trying to. But here we go. I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father. Through him all things were made. For us men and for our salvation he came down from heaven, and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary and became man. For our sake he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. He suffered death and was buried and rose again on the third day. In accordance with the Scriptures, he ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again in glory to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father and the Son, who with the Father and the Son is adored and glorified, who has spoken through the prophets. I believe in one holy, Catholic, and Apostolic Church. I confess one baptism for the forgiveness of sins, and I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen.
All right.
And with that, I think Tick's asking me why my face is glowing. I put a secondary white screen up here, so like my face is getting burned off by the white light.
Yeah, he started doing the outline on day mode, so it's much brighter.
Need more natural light in my environment here. But no, definitely go check out my latest video if you haven't already. I covered a little bit of Palantir, JD Vance, and his history there, and some of my concerns with that. But with that, I'm gonna probably try to keep up that series I was doing as well. One Christian versus scary videos. I might try to do that tomorrow night. So anybody who was interested in that, I'll try to air that maybe around 7 or 8 o'clock. Maybe go for an hour, hour and a half. I'll put together some scary videos and watch them together. Take a break from the seriousness. And with that, I'll probably be looking forward my next project. I'll probably make a video, put it together about Project Esther. I think some people are curious about that. I've also received other comments from people asking me to cover that as well. But with that, that's all. And yeah, and also on Sunday, we will be doing the Sunday service as well on the channel with me, Chris, and a few others. But with that, thank you guys very much for being here, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night.
Yeah. It was my phone. I got one of them those phones that open up, so it's like a tablet. But yes, very bright.
That's funny.
But cool, you guys. Had a great time, great chat. Appreciate everybody for being here, and we'll see you guys on Saturday.
With whirlwind and the thug, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.